Hello, how you doing? Welcome to a brand new series on my channel called 5 Things We Learn About the Weekend's Football. It's not very catchy, is it? What I'm going to be doing is looking back over the weekend's action and letting you know 5 things that I have noticed. This week, starting episode 1 with the FA Cup. First of all, thank you to loads of my new subscribers. I've nearly doubled my subscriber count in the last couple of weeks thanks to this song going viral just before Christmas. Even though it's a year out of date, it's a song where I mentioned all 92 English league clubs, but it was for last season. For some reason, it got featured on the YouTube homepage and recommended page, and it's blown up massively. But as a result, I've had loads of great comments from people and new subscribers. So hello. Welcome. There'll be loads more songs on the channel, but for now, it's time for the first episode of this new series. So it was the FA Cup third round, the magic of the FA Cup. Except it wasn't really that magical. I actually fell asleep during the 3 televised games that are on TV, which I think means they probably picked the wrong TV games, either that or I'm just very lazy. But the first thing that I learned this weekend is do not disrespect the FA Cup unless you're Man City or Man United. And by that, I mean don't put out a weakened team or you will struggle. Well, unless you're Man City or Man United. Because the teams that did came a cropper. Liverpool, weakened team against Plymouth, held to a 0-0 draw. Bournemouth, 11 changes away at Millwall, lost 3-0. Stoke, weakened team at Wolves, lost 2-0. I mean, Man City and Man United did make massive changes as well and won 5-0 against West Ham and 4-0 against Reading. But the point still stands. Don't disrespect the FA Cup, especially in the third round, because those smaller teams that have got there to that round are desperate for a giant killing. They're desperate for an upset. They want to prove they deserve to be in the third round and in the fourth round. And they will go for it. They won't be playing weakened teams, obviously. And I know that the FA Cup probably falls down the priority list for a lot of bigger teams when it comes to Champions League, Europa League. I don't know about Europa League though, because that's a pointless competition. Premier League getting in the top 6 or the top 4. But this is the FA Cup, it's the oldest competition in the world, it's romantic, people care about it. It starts off with 400 million teams in the early qualifying rounds. And when you get to the third round, it's serious business. So don't disrespect it, don't play your kids, play the strongest team you possibly can, because otherwise you might come unstuck. The second thing that I learned this weekend is that Paul Merson doesn't really have a clue about anything. On Soccer Saturday, he was asked for his predictions on teams that would go through to the third round and possibly be dark horses for the FA Cup. He chose Stoke, Bournemouth and Everton. Yeah, they all lost. The thing is, I don't think Paul Merson really cares. Like, he knows he's kind of like the Alan Davies of QI of the Soccer Saturday world. He doesn't care that he gets things wrong or says the wrong words sometimes or does weird Cockney rhyming slang that no one else does. I think he's sort of happy being that happy-go-lucky sort of clown character, and fair play to him. You know, we all need a bit of entertainment, and that's fine. And this week, again, Merce has given us some entertainment. So do you know what? Don't worry about it, Merce. You know, you don't have to know everything. I don't know everything. You know, it's fine. We all need a bit of entertainment, and that's what you're there for. So just don't worry about it. We'll gloss over this. We'll go on to part 3. Okay, in part 3, I learned that a Fulham player became the youngest ever FA Cup goal scorer, and then he didn't. A stat went around the internet this weekend that Fulham's Ryan Sessegnon became the youngest ever FA Cup goalscorer at 16 years and 235 days after scoring against Cardiff. Except then it turns out that he actually wasn't, and that was completely false. False because a young lad called Sean Cato scored for Barrow against Rothwell in the preliminary rounds in 2011, and he was actually 16 years and 25 days old. And in fact, in that same year, MK Dons George Williams scored in the first round of the FA Cup at 16 years and 66 days old, making him the youngest goalscorer in the proper rounds of the FA Cup. Sorry, Ryan. You had your record for about 5 minutes, and it's still a great achievement, so well done. The fourth thing I learnt this weekend is that Alan Pardew seems absolutely fine after being sacked as Palace manager last month. He was spotted in the crowd at Sutton United versus AFC Wimbledon in their third round clash. Apparently, Alan does go and watch Sutton United quite often. We also learned that Alan likes to wear a cravat. Now, the more I think about it, the more cravat is kind of perfect for Alan Pardew. I'm surprised we've never seen him in one before. He was Palace manager for 2 years, never once wore a cravat, not on the touchline, not in press conferences, and he got a lot of criticism for things he did on the touchline. You know, that dance at Wembley, which I can't even think about, to be honest. But I'm starting to think that maybe if he'd worn a cravat more often, I don't know, maybe he would have had a bit more support from the fans, a bit more time on his side. I wonder if that was his biggest mistake as Palace manager. And finally, I learned that Reading's George Evans is absolutely savage. Sort of. Actually not savage at all. There was footage at the end of the Man United Reading game where Rooney had scored his 249th goal for Man United, equalling Bobby Charlton's all-time record for the club. And George Evans appeared to refuse to swap shirts with Rooney. Now, being a former Man City player, this made Evans instantly a cult hero with City fans. Man City player refuses Rooney's shirt on the day that he scores a record-breaking goal. Amazing! Except it turns out that actually that wasn't the case, because Evans then tweeted after the game a picture of Rooney's shirt saying, "I didn't say no, I just said no right now because I wanted to swap it in the tunnel afterwards because we lost 4-0 and I didn't want to seem disrespectful to Reading's fans swapping shirts with Rooney after he played so badly." Which is actually kind of fair enough. But it doesn't play into the narrative of ex-City player refusing Rooney's shirt at Old Trafford after he scored a record-breaking goal for Man United. But it did lead to this brilliant interchange on Twitter between a lad called Sam Smart and another lad called Adrian. I'm assuming not the West Ham goalkeeper. Sam Smart replied to Evans saying, "You just let down 5,000 City fans who thought you were a legend for refusing on the pitch. Hashtag top man, UTFR, red, white, black, circles." Adrian then chipped in and said, "Like City have 5,000 fans. Good one, Adrian." To which Sam then replied with a picture of City's 4,950 seat allocation for their FA Cup game at West Ham. To which Adrian replied, "I was so right." Love it, lads. That is what Twitter was made for, and that is the final thing that I learned from this FA Cup weekend's football. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of this new series of 5 things we learned from the weekend's football. It's not catchy, is it? I'm going to be doing it every Monday to wrap up the silly and the funny things that we learned from the weekend's football. But what did you learn from the weekend's football action? Comment below with what you learned. Let me know what you spotted, anything funny or silly from the weekend's action. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it as well down there. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe for loads more comedy football content on my channel. That's it. Thanks for watching. I'm off to buy a cravat.